I'll never forget the moment I walked into the driveway and saw the empty spot where my car used to be. My silver Mustang, the one I had worked late nights, double shifts, and endless weekends to buy, was gone. And when I asked my mom where it was, she didn't even look guilty. She just said, "We sold it. Your sister needed it more than you." That sentence shattered something inside me. Before I continue, please let me know where you are watching from in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe to follow my journey of betrayal and unexpected revenge. My name's Ethan Miles. I'm 23, the oldest child in my family, and up until that day, I thought hard work meant something in my parents' house. For years, I saved every penny from working at a hardware store and doing side gigs fixing laptops and tutoring kids. I lived frugally, no parties, no expensive clothes, no new phone unless my old one completely died. Every dollar went into my savings account because I had one dream, buying my own car. Not just any car. A silver 2015 Mustang GT I'd been obsessed with since high school. It wasn't brand new, but to me, it represented independence. It was proof that if I put in the work, I could create my own path. When I finally bought it, I remember sitting in the driver's seat, running my hands over the wheel, and whispering to myself, "You did this, Ethan. You finally did this." But my family didn't see it the same way. At first, it was little comments. "You're too obsessed with that car," my dad would say as he sipped his coffee. "You act like that thing is more important than family," my mom added once when I skipped a random weekend errand because I was detailing the car. I brushed it off. Families tease. I told myself they didn't understand because they hadn't been the ones scrubbing grease out of their hands after a 12-hour shift or walking miles in the rain to get to work. But then it escalated. My younger sister, Samantha, had just turned 18. She was the golden child, the one who could do no wrong in my parents' eyes. While I was expected to pay my own way through everything, Sam was coddled. She got a brand new iPhone for her birthday. She went on a senior trip to Cancun that my parents paid for. And when she crashed her old beat-up sedan a few months later, suddenly her need for a new car became the family's biggest priority. I'll never forget the first time I caught her eyeing my Mustang. We were standing in the driveway, and she said casually, "You know, Ethan, you don't really need this car. I'm starting college soon, and I need something reliable." It'd make sense for me to have it instead. I laughed. I thought she was joking. "Sam, I worked 3 years for this. You'll be fine. Mom and Dad will help you out." But she didn't laugh. She just rolled her eyes and muttered, "You're so selfish." That word cut me. Selfish. Because everything I'd done, working extra shifts, tutoring, saying no to things I wanted, was the opposite of selfish. But in my family, anytime I didn't bend over backward for Sam, I was branded the bad guy. A week later, my mom approached me in the kitchen. "Your sister really needs a reliable car," she started carefully, like she was trying to ease me into something. She already had one. "She crashed it," I replied flatly, not even looking up from my cereal. That wasn't her fault. "And you know college is starting soon. Don't you think it would be better if you let her use your Mustang? Just until she gets on her feet." I froze, spoon halfway to my mouth. "No. Absolutely not. That car is mine. I bought it with my money. It's not a toy to hand out." Her lips pressed together in a thin line. "Ethan, you don't understand what it means to sacrifice for family. Sometimes we have to share." "Share?" I said bitterly. Funny how sharing always seems to mean I lose something and Sam gains. She didn't respond. But I knew this wasn't over. The signs were everywhere. Dad dropping hints, "It's just a car, son. You'll get another someday." Sam leaving her purse in my passenger seat after we went grocery shopping together, then saying with a smirk, "Wow, I look good in this car. It feels like it belongs to me already." Mom suggesting I shouldn't park it so far from the house. What if someone else decides to take it? At night, I started sleeping with my keys under my pillow. I told myself I was being paranoid, but deep down, I knew what was coming. Then came the day that changed everything. I came home from a long shift, sweaty, exhausted, my hands aching from lifting heavy boxes all day. I pulled into the driveway, and my stomach dropped. The spot where my Mustang usually sat was empty. At first, I thought maybe Dad had moved it. Or maybe Sam had taken it without asking, which would have been bad enough. But when I walked inside and saw the look on my mom's face, calm, almost smug, I knew it was worse. "Where's my car?" I demanded. She didn't hesitate. "We sold it." My vision blurred. I actually thought I misheard. "You, what?" "We sold it," she repeated, like it was the most casual thing in the world. "Your sister needed it more than you. She's starting college, and she has responsibilities now. You'll manage." "You sold it? Without telling me?" "That was my car. I worked for it." "Don't raise your voice," my dad barked from the living room. "You're overreacting. It's just a car. Just a car." Those words echoed in my skull. My dream, my years of sacrifice, my proof that I could achieve something on my own, dismissed as just a car. And standing behind my mom, half hidden, was Sam. She had the nerve to smile and say, "Thanks, Ethan. You'll understand someday." That night, I sat in my room with my hands trembling. My cap and gown from graduation still hung in the corner, collecting dust. I had bought that car as my own kind of diploma, my own reward for fighting through years of being overlooked. Now it was gone. I couldn't even process the betrayal. It wasn't like they borrowed it or asked me to share. They sold it, like my hard work was a family asset they had every right to cash in. And the worst part? They didn't even look guilty. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my banking app. Nothing. Not a cent had been deposited. They hadn't even given me the money from the sale. That meant one thing: my parents had pocketed the cash. I stormed into the kitchen where they were sitting around like nothing had happened. "Where's the money?" I demanded. Dad set down his newspaper. "What money?" "The money from my car. You didn't just sell it, you stole the cash too." Mom's eyes narrowed. "We used it for Samantha's tuition deposit. That car was a luxury. College is an investment." "An investment for her," I snapped. "Not for me. Do you realize how sick this is? You took 3 years of my blood and sweat and just, handed it to Sam like she's royalty." Sam, sitting at the counter with her nails freshly painted, smirked. "Don't be so dramatic. You'll get another car someday. Besides, college is way more important than a toy." A toy. That's what she called it. I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake them and make them see the betrayal. But all I managed was, "You'll regret this." They laughed. Actually laughed. Like I was the childish one for being hurt. That was the moment something hardened inside me. I knew I couldn't count on them for fairness. If I wanted justice, I'd have to create it myself. The next few weeks were a blur. I barely spoke to my family. Every time I saw Sam toss her new car keys in the air or brag to her friends about how her parents bought her a reliable ride, I felt my stomach turn. Meanwhile, I was back to riding the bus to work, sweating through my shirt in the summer heat while she cruised past in the very vehicle my labor had paid for. My coworkers noticed the shift. One of them, James, clapped me on the shoulder one morning and said, "Man, didn't you just get a Mustang? What happened?" I swallowed hard. "Family drama." He shook his head. "Family's supposed to build you up, not tear you down. Don't let them walk over you." Those words stuck. But the betrayal wasn't done. One afternoon, I came home early and overheard Sam on the phone in her room. Her door was cracked open, and I heard her giggle. "Yeah, my brother's such an idiot. He thought that Mustang was actually his. Everyone knows if you live in your parents' house, nothing really belongs to you. They just let him borrow it until I needed it." I froze in the hallway. My own sister, bragging to her friends about how she'd manipulated me. That was the knife in the back. That night, I didn't yell. I didn't fight. I didn't give them the satisfaction of another argument. Instead, I pulled out my laptop and started researching. I needed proof of what they'd done. I called the dealership where I had originally bought the Mustang. The manager, an older guy named Rick who had liked me because I paid up front and never caused issues, remembered me. When I explained what happened, he sighed. "Kid, that's rough. But legally, if the title was in your name, they had no right to sell it." My chest tightened. It was in my name. I paid cash and had the title mailed to me. Then technically, he said, they committed fraud. Fraud. That word lit a fire in me. I thanked him and tucked the information away. I wasn't ready to blow things up yet. First, I needed to plan. Over the next month, I acted like nothing was wrong. I stayed polite at dinner. I asked Sam about her classes. I even complimented the way she decorated her dorm room. They thought I'd moved on. They thought I'd accepted my role as the overlooked, disposable son. But behind the scenes, I was documenting everything. I kept texts where Mom admitted they used the money for tuition. I screenshotted Sam's Instagram post where she captioned a picture of herself leaning against her new car with, "Thanks to my amazing parents for making this happen." I even recorded a conversation one evening when Dad slipped and said, "Well, it's not like you'll sue your own family." I smiled to myself. They had no idea. My opportunity came when I got a call from Rick again. "Hey, Ethan," he said, "a guy came in today trying to resell that Mustang. Said he got it from your folks." I checked the VIN, and yeah, it's your car. Still in town. My heart raced. "You're serious?" "Dead serious. Thought you should know." That was it. The missing piece. Not only had they stolen my car, but they had tried to flip it. And the fact that it was still in circulation meant I had a chance to get it back. I hung up, my hands shaking. For the first time since the betrayal, I felt a surge of power. I didn't yell. I didn't confront. I simply went to my desk, opened a blank document, and began typing, "To whom it may concern." I was drafting a formal statement. Because if my parents thought I was just going to lie down and accept this, they had another thing coming. The night before I made my move, I sat in the Mustang's old parking spot in the driveway. The asphalt was still stained with oil drops from all the times I'd spent weekends under the hood, fine-tuning it. I whispered to myself, "Tomorrow, everything changes." The next morning, I walked into town with my folder of documents. Inside were copies of the car title with my name clearly printed, screenshots of texts, bank records showing the deposit I had made when I bought the Mustang, and even the recordings of my parents admitting what they'd done. I felt strangely calm. Not the rage that had consumed me weeks before, this was colder, sharper. I went straight to the police station. The officer at the desk raised an eyebrow when I slid the papers over. So you're saying your parents sold your vehicle without your permission? Yes, sir. The title is in my name. They never asked. They took the money and used it for my sister's tuition. I have proof. He leafed through the documents, his expression shifting from skeptical to serious. This isn't a family dispute. This is theft. And if they forged your signature to sell it, that's fraud too. My chest tightened, but in a good way. Finally, someone saw the truth. The officer promised to open an investigation. He asked if I wanted to press charges. I hesitated, hearing my mother's voice in my head, family comes first. But then I pictured myself sweating on the bus while my sister bragged about her car. I remembered every smirk, every dismissal, every time they called me selfish for not handing over what I earned. Yes, I said firmly. I want to press charges. 2 days later, a patrol car pulled into our driveway. I watched from the porch as officers knocked on the door. My parents looked confused at first, then horrified when the officers explained the situation. Sir, ma'am, you are under investigation for fraudulent sale of a vehicle, one officer explained. We need you to come down to the station to answer some questions. Mom turned to me, her face pale. Ethan, what did you do? I didn't do anything, I said calmly. You did. You stole from me. Sam, standing behind her, gawked at me like I'd just betrayed the family. You called the cops on Mom and Dad? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? I shot back. What's wrong with you? You watched them steal from me and you laughed about it. Dad's voice shook with anger. You've gone too far, son. I met his glare without flinching. No, Dad. You did. The second you decided my work didn't matter. They were taken to the station for questioning. The neighborhood watched, whispers spreading like wildfire. For once, I wasn't the one being humiliated, it was them. The investigation dragged for weeks, but the evidence was overwhelming. My name was on the title. I had receipts for every cent I put into buying that car. My parents had forged my signature on the sale paperwork. In the end, the authorities had no choice but to act. My parents were charged with fraud and theft. Because it was their first offense, they didn't go to jail, but they were fined heavily and ordered to pay me restitution. The kicker? The buyer who had tried to flip the car backed out when he realized it was part of an investigation, which meant the Mustang was impounded until the case was closed. And when it was finally released, guess whose hands it was returned to? Mine. The day I drove it home again, I felt a mix of relief and triumph. The silver paint gleamed in the sunlight, almost like it was celebrating with me. Neighbors waved, some even clapped. Word had spread about what happened. Suddenly, I wasn't the selfish son anymore, I was the kid who stood up for himself. My parents, on the other hand, couldn't show their faces without whispers following them. They stole from their own son, people muttered. Their reputation, which they prized more than anything, was permanently stained. As for Sam, her college fund took a major hit because my parents had to repay me. She ended up dropping out after the first semester, bitter and angry, blaming me for everything. But deep down, I knew the truth. She was facing the consequences of her entitlement for the first time in her life. That whole ordeal changed me. I realized something important. Loyalty to family doesn't mean letting them treat you like a doormat. Love isn't blind sacrifice, it's respect. And if they can't respect your work, your boundaries, your property, then they don't deserve the benefits of your success. I looked at my Mustang differently after that. It wasn't just a car anymore. It was a reminder that my effort mattered, that I had a voice, and I could use it, even against the people who raised me. Was it painful? Absolutely. I wish my parents had chosen differently. I wish my sister had stood by me instead of against me. But in the end, the betrayal taught me how to stand tall, even when it meant standing alone. Now, when I pull out of that driveway, I don't just hear the roar of the engine. I hear the sound of freedom. So now I'll ask you, what would you have done in my place? Would you have stayed quiet and let it slide for the sake of family? Or would you have fought back, even if it meant exposing your own parents? Because at the end of the day, I don't know if I was brave or just desperate. All I know is, they sold my dream car. But when I returned, it wasn't just my car I got back. It was myself.